Sorry, it's handheld again today. My daughter has my tripod. It's Sunday. I don't usually do Sunday, but I'm giving myself a pat on the back for something today. So I now live about 12 miles or so, a little bit more maybe, from the church that I attend. So I only go about twice a month now. And I was going home hungry, and I was driving along the main street and passing all these wonderfully tempting fast food drive-thrus. And I had money in my pocket. And other days I might have pulled in and said, what the heck? But I didn't. I resisted. I had gone grocery shopping, so I had groceries. I knew I had groceries at home as well. So and there was a little tug. Every time I drove past one of those, McDonald's, Wiener Schnitzel, Carl's Jr., Taco Bell, every time there was that little, I could just pull in. No one would know. Well, I would know. So I'm celebrating resisting that temptation. It's a very small victory, but I'm going to celebrate it. And I think maybe we all should celebrate when we resist those temptations. And I know it's like a zero thing, like nothing happened, but you made that nothing happen. I made that nothing happen because I could have made something not really good happen. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but, let's be honest, fast food is never really good for you, and it's going to be higher in calories and higher in carbs than it needs to be. So I got home safely, made myself something low carb, low calorie, and now I'm having a cup of coffee because I didn't have coffee this morning. And that's it. You get a Sunday update this week. Well, Wednesday update time. Teaching has been okay, a little better. When I use my camping chair, which is not that convenient to move around because it is a little heavy and a little awkward, it's more comfortable. But one of the schools that I teach at literally has no chairs without wheels. So I've been using the camping chair there. I didn't weigh myself today, but I got weighed yesterday morning when I was at a doctor's appointment, and then doing the math and figuring it out. It's doing okay. It's an okay week. Hopefully I won't ruin it too much. I will have more info later. I'm going to talk on Saturday a bit about my weight history, kind of, if you will. I did it once before, but I'm going to sort of provide an update because some people are coming in new that weren't there at the beginning, and you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning to get the story. I'll retell the story. Good morning. It's Saturday morning. Cup of coffee. Cheers. Good morning. I think this is my Saturday shirt. I think I've worn it last Saturday too. Whatever. Anyway. So as promised, a bit of a story time of my life, weight history, I guess, and then an update, and then a debrief on the update. So I've always been a big kid, fat kid, not like crazy fat, but always extra weight. I got up to maybe about 375 in my late 20s. And I could still sometimes buy off the rack if they had like a big men's department. I didn't have to, like now I have to order from a catalog because even the big men's sizes in the stores don't go big enough. Anyway, at about 375, then I got down again to about 325 before my first marriage when I was 31. I think 325 was, I called that my fighting weight. I call it my fighting weight still. I was still pretty active. I was doing karate. I was working corrections, and I didn't have the sense of running out of puff a lot. I didn't feel especially out of shape. But of course I was still a young man. 31 is still fairly young. So then I was, the first marriage fell apart, and I'll just blame myself for it, I guess. I mean, I think it was salvageable, but anyway, it fell apart, and it was a crushing blow to my psyche, and um, I went into quite a long depression. Fortunately, there was a wonderful woman who is still a very good friend, and honestly, it may have worked out best if she had stayed friends. But we wound up married, and she's a wonderful woman. I won't say anything bad about her at all. Um, but she was a larger woman, and she was a good cook. I'm not going to deny it. And they were like country kind of cooking. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, but like, biscuits and gravy, fried chicken, that kind of thing. Like, it's all really good food, really good tasting food, but it's also, unfortunately, usually high in fat and high in calories. So that didn't help. So being depressed, gained weight, married to a wonderful woman who was also a very good cook, but of very fattening foods, so I gained more weight. So I don't know what I was when the end of that came, and then came marriage number 3, which is which produced my 2 daughters. So I can't say too much bad about it. I mean, the relationship fell apart and fell apart badly, but I had 2 daughters out of it, and at some point in that relationship, I knew that I had ballooned up to about 586. I mean, which is insane. At some point, I don't know how long ago, it was 6 years ago, maybe a little more. I had a very bad medical situation. My leg, the cellulitis infection. Well, first of all, I had a bad one, and then they released me from hospital way too soon. A doctor wasn't even paying attention. Frankly, he didn't do a good job at all. His job seemed to be to kick everyone out of the hospital. So he kicked me out of the hospital with insufficient oral antibiotics. The leg got terrible. The trouble is that I had the infection quite a few times before, and a couple times it's done weird things before getting better. I had one where it got like big bumps all over it, but then it still got better. But this was really bad. It got terrible. I wound up back in hospital for a further 9 days, and I literally lost almost all the skin. Was gone. It just everything had died on my left leg. It was horrible. It took a great deal of time to recover. Unfortunately, the recovery period, lying down a lot with pressure wraps and stuff, led to a blood clot, which went to my lungs, which killed me. So I got better, but it was bad. And that was kind of in the discussions with my wound care nurse following that, where we came to the realization that I had to acknowledge that I am in fact disabled. And unfortunately, I'm feeling that again because this teaching job has, little though it is really affecting me badly. So I don't know if I can continue the teaching, but I'm going to try. But I'm taking a week off. Anyway, so at some point after that, I got on track towards gastric bypass surgery for weight loss. 2 tracks. One track I sort of started on my own. It was like an investigation thing, and at the time, the insurance that I had was only going to cover the most severe kind of weight loss surgery, and and basically you're not likely to find a doctor who's willing to do that procedure. I don't know the name of it. I'm sorry, but basically they shrink your stomach down to tiny, and they rewire it past most of your intestines, like a huge amount of your intestines, and you get like almost zero absorption of anything, and you wind up having to live on liquid protein and vitamins, and that's your future. And it was because of the magic computer at the place said, well, he weighs this much, and so we're not going to give him anything but the most severe. Well, first of all, there wasn't a doctor to do it. Second of all, I'd learned enough about it that I wasn't going to do that one, because I was not ready to live on liquid protein and vitamin pills for the rest of my life. So then I got on track, a better track, because my insurance had changed because I was disabled, and learned a lot on that track, and got to the point where I was talking to the surgeon, and he explained things very well. Very good surgeon, very, very well, good explanation. But he also explained that in general, most people after the surgery wind up halfway between their starting weight and their goal weight. And because I was 500 and something, I don't know what it was. I think that may have been when I was 586. He said the midpoint was still too high, and that I would have to lose 100 pounds at least before they could consider doing the surgery on me. Now, that track, I guess, is like a permission through the insurance or something. Anyway, that expired. It was quite a long time. Might have been 4 years that track was on. It expired. Then, I think before I started this, I had a bad hernia, very bad. It was a trapped hernia, and whatever, I've described it before. Basically, a hernia is your guts go through a hole in your sort of stomach lining, and they were trapped on the other side badly. Sometimes the part that's trapped on the other side dies. This case, it was early enough they could manage to push it back in and seal up the hole. So now I have a new hernia near the same area. It's possible that it's like it's either gone around the mesh they put in. The mesh could have expanded and it could be coming out through a hole in the mesh, or it could be a whole new hernia. Anyway, then I talked to this surgeon, and she said that honestly, the real solution to this problem, because it's recurring, is gastric bypass surgery. Not just for weight loss, but also because this problem is likely to keep recurring. Because I'm not a big fan of weight loss surgery, but it's like a different reason. So that's kind of where we are medically right now. And then after that, I decided to go on this journey, and I started the journey about a year ago, maybe a little bit less than a year ago. I think it was June, so it's getting close to a year ago. Hello, cat. And in the middle, I kind of gave up. So even though I've been on it for a year, probably 5-6 months of it, I wasn't really putting an effort. And that's where I am now. So now the weight loss. Last week it was meh. I'd only lost 2.6 pounds, and this week is worse. I only lost 0.4 pounds. Still a loss. I don't know why. I had a special home movie night, watching movies at home, not like, here's you and your auntie, whatever. No, we watched The Batman, but we watched it at home with my daughter, and we decided we were going to have kind of like snacks for dinner. So I made a crab dip, which is, and then we had like nachos, a giant plate of nachos. And of course, with the dip, you got to have crackers, and it was a lot of carbs, a lot of calories. And I kind of thought I would regret it, but I thought I could, undo it. And I guess I undid it. I just didn't undo it enough. So it was a special treat, and also, was that? Yes. Also, that Saturday, I forgot. So there were two things. That Saturday was prom, which is if you're not familiar with it, it's like the most important dance of high school ever, especially for girls. And I have a daughter. And so she was going off, and we'd made plans that I would take her and her friend to go get their nails done, and then we would go have a meal together. Well, we wound up going to a place that gets big portions, and I should have just whatever. I didn't say no. I ate the large portion. So those are two things. So I had two things to undo, and I undid them in the sense that they didn't do additional damage, but I didn't undo them enough to prevent a gain. So I am at 476.2, well off track, but we're coming up where we don't have a lot of special occasions and stuff, no big, and I just need to not make special occasions, or just I started this with talking about how good I was on Sunday, but I was bad on the Saturday before. So, I'm a bad guy. No, I'm not a bad guy. I'm a guy who made some bad choices. And you have to think about that. Don't judge yourself, judge your choices, judge your behavior, and figure out how to change them, which is something I am still working on. Anyway, that's where we are now. You can still give me a like. I wouldn't blame you if you gave me a dislike. Again, share. Even our failures or our unsuccessful attempts can teach us and help us. And again, I am so very, very appreciative of your comments. It really makes me feel like I'm not alone. And I hope that I make you feel that you're not alone. I try to respond to all the comments. And, like, share, subscribe, and take care of yourself. Make yourself your priority. And I know for some people it's hard to do. Just emotionally, you're a giver. But you have to take care of yourself first.